Come here, sit down for a second. You've been asking him for clarity all week, and I know you've been turning the same conversation over and over in your head. It's late, and you're tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the kind that comes from waiting for an answer that keeps not coming. So let me say the thing nobody else will. Not because I want to hurt you, because you deserve to hear the truth from someone who's actually on your side. His behavior may already be giving you the clarity his words haven't. I know that stings, but here's what's underneath it, and this is the part I want you to really sit with. What you're chasing might not be clarity at all. It might be permission. Permission to leave. Permission to want more. Permission to finally trust what you've been seeing for weeks. Stay with me, because what happens when you stop chasing, that's where everything changes. There's a kind of tired that doesn't come from heartbreak. It's not the sharp, clean pain of being rejected. It's quieter than that. It's the in-between, the almost, the what are we that never quite gets answered. And the truth is, your mind isn't built for that. It hates unfinished questions. It will keep picking at them, circling back, trying to close the loop. Honestly, sometimes even a painful answer feels easier than having no answer at all. That's why it never stays quiet. What is this? Where is this going? Does he actually want me here? And the longer it stays open, the louder it gets. And the louder it gets, the more you try to fix it by doing more, reaching more, asking more, reading into his tone, his response time, the exact way he said that one thing last Tuesday. You've become a detective for someone who never asked to be investigated. Now, before we go further, I'm not saying any of this to make you feel bad. This isn't about blame. It's about finally seeing what's actually happening so you can do something about it. Because here's the thing. If you grew up having to earn love, if safety was something you had to work for, if you learned early to read the room, to notice the tiny shifts in someone's mood just so you could feel safe, then uncertainty doesn't just annoy you, it frightens you, deep down, at a level you can't always name. So when a relationship stays blurry, part of you flips into survival mode. And survival mode doesn't rest. It scans, it monitors, it reaches. That's not weakness. That's a pattern you learned to keep yourself safe. It worked once, it's just not helping you now. But here's what chasing clarity actually does to you. Every time you reach out first to have the conversation he keeps sidestepping, you're not getting closer to an answer. You're drifting further away from yourself. Slowly, the question stops being, what are we? And starts becoming, what am I doing wrong? And that's the trap. Because the moment you let his answer decide how you feel about yourself, you've handed your power to someone who hasn't earned it. Now, this isn't me telling you he's a bad person. Maybe he's lovely. Maybe he's just scared or avoidant or genuinely unsure. At some point, why matters less than what his uncertainty is doing to you. And what it's doing to you is this. You are paying for his uncertainty with your peace. And that is a very expensive thing to buy. So let me ask you the question most people avoid because it's uncomfortable. What would happen if you didn't get clarity? Not from him, not this week, maybe not ever. Would you stay anyway? Would you finally leave? Or, and I want you to be really honest with yourself here, would you realize that you already know the answer? That you've known it for a while now? And that what you've been calling needing clarity was really just not being ready to face it yet? I'm not saying that to shame you. I'm saying it because I know how much easier it is to keep asking him than to trust what you already feel. Here's what happens when you finally stop. And I need you to understand, this is not giving up. It's the opposite. It's giving yourself back. Your nervous system starts to settle. That constant background checking, did he text? What did that silence mean? It slows down. And the energy you were spending on decoding him, you get it back. It's yours again. And something else happens, something nobody talks about. When you stop chasing the answer with urgency, you start to actually see the situation. Not through the lens of, what does this mean for me? Just, what is this really? And that observation itself usually gives you the answer you were chasing all along. Let me walk you through what this looks like in real life. The first shift is internal. You stop living in the future tense. Every conversation you had before was quietly about, where is this going? When you let that go, you come back to what's actually in front of you, right now. And right now is usually a lot clearer than the version of him you've been hoping will show up later. The second shift, you stop outsourcing your worth to his response. Think about how long you've been waiting for him to confirm that you matter, that you're worth choosing. That is an enormous amount of power to hand to someone who hasn't even committed to you. When you stop needing him to decide your value, that confirmation starts coming from somewhere much more reliable, your own choices, what you'll accept and what you won't. The third shift, and I want to be really clear here because this matters, I'm not teaching you a trick to make him want you more. That's not what this is. What I'm talking about is this. When you stop managing the connection, you finally get to see what it actually is. Does he move toward you on his own? Does he make an effort without being prompted? Or does the whole thing quietly disappear the moment you stop carrying it? That's not a game. It's not manipulation. It's just observation. And it will tell you more in 1 week than 100 conversations ever could. The fourth shift is the most important one. You finally see him clearly. Not the version you've been hoping he'd become if you just gave him a little more time. The one that's actually there. And that's the clarity you were really looking for. So how do you actually do this? Not in theory, in practice. It comes down to 3 steps, and they're simple enough to actually remember and use. Say it. Have the conversation once, clearly, calmly, without softening what you need until it disappears. Say what you want, then stop. Stop managing. This is the hard one. After you've said it, you don't chase, you don't re-explain, you don't nudge him toward the answer you're hoping for. You let his response, or his silence, be its own answer. Watch the pattern. Not for one good day, over time. Watch what he does, not what he promises, because anyone can be warm for an afternoon. The question is what he consistently shows you. And one more thing, because I don't want you to take this the wrong way. Early uncertainty is normal. A new thing doesn't come with a guarantee, and that's fine. But there's a real difference between it's still early and you've been confused for months. If the confusion has become the relationship, that is your answer. You don't need him to say it out loud. Here's the truth about clarity. The kind you have to repeatedly pull out of someone rarely comes from one conversation, and it rarely arrives in the exact words at the exact moment you were hoping for. Real clarity comes from watching someone's actions over time, from noticing how you feel in their presence, not just how much you want them, from being honest with yourself about what you've been accepting and why. So stop waiting for him to hand you the answer. Clarity isn't the sentence you finally get him to say. It's the conclusion you're willing to draw from what he repeatedly does. And once you draw that conclusion, that's when you're finally free. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you in the next video.